Right, hello, beautiful souls. Like I said, I'm starting some new talks. Just because I know a little bit about a little bit, and I just thought I would gratefully start with someone who I get on really well with. His name's George, otherwise known on here as Gabriella Starseed, who's just appeared. And yeah, we're going to start a selection of talks. We've already started one today. There will always be on a Friday night, and George's is on his channel, and then we'll do late night Friday a few hours later on mine. So let me just to our beautiful king. Whoops. Just be careful here with this setup. God, this is all new to me. All this stuff took. Hello, darling.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, honey. How are you?
I'm good, very relaxed, a lot more relaxed than
Good.
before. Um,
You look like a completely different person from earlier.
I know I put my hair up and I'm just sitting back with a blanket on, but I feel really, really comfy. I think it's because
Chilled.
I know, like, this is your one and I'm just here to, like, bounce off you.
They're both owls.
No,
Bounce off me. Well, I'm really grateful that you have come here to do that, because I was just saying, like, this is going to be a regular occurrence, and you and I, as we already know, like, we talk about a lot of things all the time, and I think it came to both of our attention that, especially me being, this is the longest that I've been here for over 15 years consecutively. Like, I'm normally out of the country, as George already knows, like within every 4 to 5 months. So, and that's been continuous, whether I be out holidaying, teaching, etc. So, or working. So, yeah, this is all a whole new concept to me, this is. So yeah, what it appeared to me though, I've noticed more and more when I am in touch with people from over here. There's one topic that still keeps coming up again and again and again. And I thought, you know what? It's about time we start talking about this stuff. So for me, it's about making comfortable conversations comfortable.
right.
Okay, because, and not just uncomfortable conversations comfortable, just generally, like, bringing those things that are taboo subjects, like, out into the open, because we shouldn't be afraid to talk about things that naturally what are an occurrence in our life anyway. I think, first of all, I'm going to start with the definition of uncomfortable, yeah? And the definition of uncomfortable is to cause discomfort or annoyance, or to become ill at ease, or causing anxiety. Okay, so we already know what it is to be comfortable, because the world is made up on making people feel comfortable. But why, when we're all going through different types of traumas and different types of lessons along this journey in life, we can't do a simple thing like talk? Okay, so if we're talking about words in general, in the general public, like, we can't talk about sex generally. People frown upon it to talk about fetishes, money, relationships, feelings, emotions, intimacy, all that jazz.
Exactly.
But the irony is, like, when it comes to sex especially, it's what women, especially celebrities, use to sell their stuff with. And people don't like to talk about sex, but yet one of the biggest songs of last year was WAP. And that couldn't have been more graphic if you tried. But yet people can't talk about intimacy, relationships, etc. For me, I find this bizarre, because I'm a person that has always lived outside of my comfort zone. It's very, very rare that I will be in my comfort zone. And if I am in my comfort zone for any part of time that's too long, I soon get myself out of it, because I get bored really quickly if I'm doing something that's, to me, comfort is routine. And to me, that's repetitive. And to me, that's for me, it's not involving me. So yeah. What do you think about people not being comfortable talking about things that are uncomfortable, George?
I think it's to do with and goes back to conditioning, really. What you're taught to believe. So, for example, like what you just said as well, people being uncomfortable talking about sex and intimacy, they probably picked that up from their parents and their grandparents, because they never saw them being able to express themselves in a healthy way. Now, by that I don't mean their parents explicitly talking to them about the sexual acts that they get up to, but actually having a conversation with them about intimacy and what it's like to feel intimate with other people in a loving way. You know, like those are conversations people should be having in order to feel more comfortable, in order to actually express themselves properly.
100%. Like simple things. Like even when, I don't know about other women here, but like, did you get the period talk? I didn't get no period talk. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was an interesting one. And then once you got it, it was kind of like, oh, well, this is what we do, and and then it was explained, but it was never explained properly. And it's like, when you actually think about it, it's a major part of a female's transformation in life, and especially when they're young, you can almost feel like you're being traumatized. Like, what the hell is happening to me? So, why isn't something as simple as that? You know? And these are the things that we need to all start breaking out of. We need to stop feeling ashamed that we can't talk about anything, because there's nothing that, to me, should be off bars. Yeah, is there anything like when it came to you growing up and your body, and like I can only imagine what the male version is when you guys start getting erections, George? Did you have someone sit down and ask you about things like this?
Actually, going back to what you just said about periods, even though I can't relate to that, I know what women have to go through from what they've told me when it comes to that, because well, for example, I remember my mum telling me that when she was a young girl, when she first got her period, and she told her mum slapped her around the face and then taught her how to sort it out, basically, because that's like a Cypriot traditional culture thing. You slap your daughter when she gets a period like it's some sort of sin. You know, and it's like absolutely bizarre. It's just,
and as you can imagine, if you're a young girl already and you've not been told about this, okay, you get told at school, reproductive system, man meets girl, this is how baby's made. You get told about the menstruation, but you get told it's a menstruation. No one actually tells you, like, oh, this is blood. This is your period. When I was at school, they never said that. They said menstruation, and through that you fertilized the egg and the baby was made. So when this blood thing happened, it's just like, what the is going on here, you know? And it's not something that should be scary. But yeah, do you guys get stuff like told what's going on with your body when you're younger?
I mean, there's not a lot of things out there, is there, for young people to process what they're going through with their bodies. I think maybe it's gotten a little bit better over time, but it's still not what it should be. For example, like with the going through puberty in the male body, things just kind of like happen to you and you're not quite sure what's going on, and you just feel like overwhelming feelings and sensations, but you're not taught how to properly direct them in a more positive way. I know for me, I was always quite a like a good boy, let's say. So I wasn't really into any trouble. I wasn't really doing any foolishness or getting up to no nastiness. But I know from speaking to other boys,
nothing wrong with a bit of nastiness, my darling.
But it is better to be doing it when you are of sound mind and you really know what you're doing, rather than coming from a place of unbalanced emotions and hormones all over the place. Like, I think it's a lot healthier to really direct that when you actually have a full understanding of of what you're doing and you can make informed decisions on that. That's just me. I don't know why. Maybe I'm a little bit old fashioned, but that's just
He's an old soul. He's an old soul, folks. Don't be
yes.
deceived by his looks.
So yeah, I mean, for me, I got up to, like you said, all that nastiness when I was older, from the age of 19 and above, because I just wasn't sure what to do with myself, and I didn't really want to put myself in any situations that I might not have been able to come out of. You know, for example, like I said, before growing up and knowing that I was gay, I didn't want to do what a lot of other gay guys do and date girls and do things with girls, knowing full well who I am, just to put on and show face to others. Because then what situation might have I put myself in? I could have accidentally gotten a girl pregnant and then have to deal with that situation.
Which so many have.
And so many have, or end up hurting people just because I'm not being true to myself. So I very much deliberately avoided all those situations and just kind of like laid low, kept myself to myself, and knew when it was time to like properly come out and do what I needed to do.
Yeah, and that's very wise of you, George, because you could have done the opposite. And we know, look, people get married and do that shiz. Like, what's his name? I'm not going to name no names, but a certain daytime TV presenter, and I 100% agree with Emma. Well done for staying in your truth and not hurting people, because that's the easy way out for a lot of people, just to be like, oh, can I test my feelings, or I'm actually semi in denial, you know. So another thing I wanted to mention, it's funny how we can't talk about everything just generally openly. Well, we do, you know, but media desensitizes everyone in every single way. From a child, when a child is young, they're desensitized to characters being murdered. Like, look at Bambi with the mother. Like, how traumatic is that for a child? Because it's an animal as well. Like, also violence, murder. But yet, two adults are frowned upon if they're out in public talking about something simple like intimacy, like, you know, anything like that. So have you, like, if you and I, for instance, George, were sitting talking and we were like drinking tea at one of these places, I'm not going to name no names, would you feel a way about talking, or would you be able to say out loud, like, exactly what you wanted to say to me, like we do when we're on the phone, for instance?
For me, there are certain things I would feel comfortable about talking out loud to you or friends amongst other people, knowing that other people could be listening in. But there are certain things that I wouldn't feel too comfortable about, just because I wouldn't necessarily want strangers to know like my certain aspects of my private life. But then in hindsight, if everyone was a lot more open, then there's nothing really to fear, is there?
And this is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, why is it okay for the general public to go out singing WAP, but yet we can't feel that we can talk about our relationship out loud because of fear of people we don't even know. We don't even know these people.
No, you're
that's
right.
Sitting around us when we're having a drink of tea. So why the fuck should we be accommodating other people because they feel inadequate, because they're not open from there? We're just being polite, you know. I think we need to start having more of these uncomfortable conversations on a regular basis. And I feel that the more that we come out and start speaking these uncomfortable truths, no matter what they are, the easier then it becomes. And this is the quicker everybody starts to heal, you know?
100%. And that goes into obviously people being able to express their feelings, especially when it comes to loved ones and people that they perceive as being close to them. If they can't express themselves and tell them what's really going on, then there's a problem there. You know, for example, have a catch up with one of your parents, your mum or your dad, and the conversation's quite middle of the road. They're just like, oh, how are you? How have you been? what you've been eating, what you've been up to, but then you kind of pick up, there's something about them that seems a bit sad. You know, like, oh, my dad seems a bit sad today, but he's not talking about it. And then I go to ask them, okay, so how are you feeling? You don't seem quite yourself. And then their response is, oh no, I'm fine. You know, everything's all right. You know, the general washing it all over with, I'm fine. But you can clearly tell, because obviously you have your inner knowing and intuition, something's not fine, but they're insistent that it's fine. And then you feel, right, I can't really push them anymore for an answer because I don't want to make them uncomfortable, because
You're worried
exactly,
about the volatile reaction.
I'm worried about the volatile reaction. I'm worried about making them feel bad.
Mm.
Even though maybe if they opened up and had a discussion, we could help. You know, they could
Help
get
them
some
and make
help.
them feel better. Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So for you, like uncomfortable experiences in general, what's your most uncomfortable experience that you've had to then like kind of get comfortable with? Have you got an example that you could think of?
Um. Yes, I do, and it's not quite the example we discussed earlier.
Hmm.
Um. Because it's something that was more recent. Because I feel like it's quite relatable, to be honest with you. So
Yeah, yeah, sure.
end of end of 2019, I was with my then ex at the time. We were on a break, basically on the verge of breaking up, but still living together because we didn't have um, any other option. We just had to stay living together. And then
Awkward.
eventually, yeah, eventually we did break up by the end of 2019, moving into 2020, but still living together. And the plan actually was we were going to carry on living together until April 2020, whilst we were broken up, which is a little bit on the fucked up side when I look back at it. But it was just being done for rent purposes, which shouldn't really be a case, should it? So
No.
that months, I think it was about, so I was sleeping in the other bedroom for, I think, around since September 2019 till end beginning of February 2020. That's
Hmm.
September, October, November, December, Jan. That's 5 months.
Mm.
Basically being in a state of on a break, breaking up, but living together and sleeping in separate bedrooms. Very, very, very awkward and uncomfortable. Um, and just quite hurtful as well going through that process. Very hurtful.
So in what ways was that hurtful to you?
Um, because it just you're watching something that you thought was going to kind of like be there for you, and like something that a situation you were going to be in just kind of like crumble in front of you.
Mm.
But you're still kind of like living in it almost like a ghost.
Mm.
Like this situation has ended, but yet I'm still in its presence. It's like, what am I still doing here?
Mm.
And and I dealt with it the best way I could. I just got through it. Just obviously carried on working. Um, Kind of like tried to see friends a little bit more and keep in touch with friends. And like just take a bit more opportunities than I would have before to like go out and see people, so I can kind of keep myself busy and out of the house more.
Hmm.
Um, and then it was around Christmas where I spent Christmas with my mum. Well, I thought to myself, and I spoke to her about it. It's like I might as well just come and move in with her as soon as
Mm.
I can. This is getting ridiculous now. And in many ways, it felt like taking a step back, back to move in with my mum. But ultimately, it was the right thing to do. And I moved out beginning of February instead of hanging around till April.
Mm. And sometimes
That,
what a lot of people don't realize, sometimes in life we actually have to take a step back in order
yeah.
to move forward in life, you know. And that's what some people don't realize, so they'll rather stay put in a shitty situation,
Mm.
being uncomfortable, than come out of that situation, find their freedom and their happiness and become even more comfortable than they ever was before. So
I'm smiling because this is exactly what happened to me. I did that. I took a step back, moved in with my mum, pandemic hit, didn't know what the fuck was going on. I had planned to move to Cyprus by April, May of 2020. That couldn't happen due to the pandemic. I carried on living with my mum, carried on working, doing what I had to do. And then eventually I got the opportunity to move to Cyprus and live with my dad in September. I I always had a plan of I'm gonna find my own place and live by myself in Cyprus, but that was more, I was like, all right, let me do that next year in 2021. However, you can make as many plans as you want in life, but obviously, God's the creator of all that is has other plans for you.
It's out of our hands,
And
whether we like it or not.
and as it was written, so it was done. By the beginning of December, through a series of a few unfortunate events, but actually it turned out to be a good thing. I've now got my own place and I'm living by myself. And it all happened in 2020, from the start of the year with my ex, living with my ex, to the end of 2020 in my own place by myself with a lovely sea view. So,
And that, folks, is how you make the uncomfortable comfortable.
quite literally.
Like,
You keep
literally.
trying. Yeah, and you just keep pushing for it,
Mm.
but knowing
And
what
you've
to
got to
push,
want it.
and you got to want it.
Yeah, 100%. So out of everything that happened, because that's quite an exponential growth for a short amount of time, George. So for you, like, what did you learn from this experience? How did it make you grow? Because I'm wanting to share this with people, and thank you so much for showing up so honestly for us all, you know, and so frankly, I really appreciate this. Because I want people to realize, though, that if you're being uncomfortable and you're in that situation, you can actually turn it around. And you're an example. Like, I've got many examples that I'll share in the future with people as well that I've done. So we know this, and we know that eventually, no matter how uncomfortable we might be feeling in that moment, actually showing up properly in our truest, honest form to whatever the situation is, or the person is, or the conversation is, that ultimately there is great growth and learning through that, and freedom, like literally within our minds. So what did you learn from that whole experience, hon?
That no matter what situation you're in, you can change it and things do get better. It's kind of like something I've known. Obviously, we all kind of know things change, things take time, but then we're kind of, I think for me, before that, I was always thinking, oh, but things take too long, or things take too, like, or certain things happen too quickly, for example. But then going through that whole experience, it was like, no, actually, things happen at the right when they should happen. There is no too fast, there is no too quick, and you just have to flow with it. And when you just surrender and literally flow with it, you're like, wow, I'm now on a really, really nice. It's like going on the that ride in Disney World. It's a small world. It's just such a nice, fun, enjoyable ride where you're like, and like all the puppets are singing and whatever, and it's just you just go with it. I mean, that may be a weird example, but it's like a lot of nice stuff just end up happening when you go with the flow. But when
Exactly.
you go with the flow, have intent and have purpose. Don't let life just happen to you, of course.
Yeah, because you need to kind of tap into your passion and tap into,
Don't just
like,
sit back and think, oh, okay.
it's gonna happen for me.
I'm just going to lay down, it's all going to happen for me, and I'm going to do absolutely nothing. Well, no, it's not going to work out that way.
No,
You've put
because as
intent.
we now know, the laws of the universe, folks, are thoughts, words, feelings, as in we really want it, and then actions. When all four of those are aligned, then the universe gets into play with us, especially if it's for our purpose, and it is our purpose. What's meant for us will never ever go by us. So there's something else I want to speak about as well when it comes to comfortable, uncomfortable, and it was the example for many women. When I used to go out and about, like, I never did it, but some of my girlfriends did, and it seemed to be an issue, which was if a guy asked you for your number and you didn't like the guy, many girls gave a guy a wrong number. So this is where being uncomfortable in a comfortable situation, you know, why would you need to give a guy? For me, I always just turned around and used to say no. Like, I didn't have a problem. And yes, I used to get abused for it sometimes, but I'd rather have that tiny moment of a name calling than just tell a lie and get someone's hopes up. Again, a bit like, you know, you're then playing with people's feelings and all the rest of it. And we treat people the way we want to be treated, George. So, like, I just could never understand why women did that. But however, I think guys, when they're out, as much as I love them, like, the girls have been so abused that they feel that they need to do that. And that only stems from a guy's self-esteem, ego, and all the rest of it. And why a guy can't simply just say, oh, okay, that's fine, rather than, oh, you think you're too nice, oh, you're fucking ugly anyway, bitch, oh, because basically these are all the stupid shit that comes out. And then I've got my girls, some of them will come to and cry to me when I used to go out, and I used to be like, they said what, you know? So now they won't even bother doing that. They'll just literally go, yeah, here's my number, and it's a wrong number. And then the guys are like, oh, why is she messing about with me, giving me a wrong number? So,
because she's been through it before, and she doesn't want the hassle. You know, it's that one is 100% a two-way street. Like, you don't treat people a certain way and then expect a positive result out of it. Name calling because they've rejected you, even though they've not been mean to you in any way. They've just said, oh, sorry, I don't want to give you my number. Sorry, you're not my type. Deal with it. Like, fucking man up and deal with it. Just be like, all right, then.
There's plenty more fish in the sea.
Like, all right, then bye. And that's it. Don't be rude to them. And that's that.
I know. It's ridiculous, because I know you know as well, because I remember when you used to go out and sometimes you used to be like, I don't know how you girls put up with some of this shit when you're out, you know? And unfortunately, what then tends to happen in these incidents, thank you very much, like, it becomes almost like the girl giving the number is a form of people pleasing. Do you know what I mean? And that's a bit of a trauma-based, like, you know, my own, I'd rather make sure that you're okay rather than actually making sure that I'm okay.
Yeah. Because I know, like, some people, or like some girls, some people, they'll give out false numbers such as like Pizza Hut number or KFC number or like Domino's number to a guy.
Wow, they actually know them off by heart.
Maybe they know it off by heart, so they know to give it out.
Yeah, exactly.
I just remember hearing about that and finding that really funny. But obviously, when you think about it, it's quite, you know, like you said, it's quite worrying.
Because no one should be made to feel like that. And I think what we all need to start doing going ahead is start speaking our truth, start making the uncomfortable conversations the norm. As we said in your live earlier on today, this year is the year of disclosure. And we're all going through this together.
We are.
No one's not been affected by some kind of something along their life path journey, you know, whether it be like something to do with our families, something to do with our parents, our siblings, relationships that we get into, the workplace, colleagues, all of these different things. We all are going through this together. We might not look the same, but we take the skin off and we've all got everything else is the same. We have the same emotions, except for it's just our environments and our upbringings that maybe shut those down. You know, the fact that a lot of people can't even talk about feelings. emotional unavailability is rife. I cannot believe the amount of people, and it's not even just guys. It's women that don't know how to show up for themselves, which is even more sad because the way of society, especially the last 30 years, as much as we've been given up independence, they've programmed it so that women, even more so in their masculine energies, so that they've almost shut themselves down emotionally, along with whatever's happened to them as trauma along the way. You know, we've got these cycles that are happening at the moment, repeated cycles of, you know, parents that have separated, but then the mother looks at the son and thinks of the father, so might treat him a certain way badly because of it. So then the son grows up with a dislike against women, either due to his mother or his sister. So then he takes that out on the first woman that he's with. Meanwhile, you've got the opposite also happening with the daughters. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like this never-ending cycle where everyone's being shut down. And emotions are energy emotions. They're not meant to be kept inside our body. They're meant to be released. They're meant to keep moving. They're meant to not be stagnant. They're not meant to be trapped. And that's what's making people ill, not just internally in their large organs, but ultimately mentally.
100%, 100% agree with you on that. That's all perfectly put.
I'm like, for me, it's like I'm going to start doing more talks about emotional availability, unavailability. I will be doing a talk on sexual intimacy. And yeah, and that's half the reason why I have done a later time, because I am going to be frank. I am going to be open. And if anybody ever wants to come and join me and talk about it, or questions, etc., feel free. If anybody's got any questions about this or wants to say anything, please leave a comment. But if not, you can catch us in our DMs. Is there anything else you'd like to add, my darling?
Would you be happy to answer a question?
Yes.
So the same question you asked me earlier, what was something uncomfortable in my life that I had to go through? I'd like to ask you the same, if that's okay.
Oh, this is me. There's many.
Yeah, it could be something recent. It could be something that you really remember from the past that stands out. Could be from any timeline, really.
Well, to be honest, I think it's very much similar to yours, George, if we're going to go about relationships and things like that, you know. Yeah, I was living in the same house as my ex for a period of time, and it was very awkward. Like we were living apart even though we were together, if that makes sense. And then it wasn't until I actually made that step to say, you know what, this is what it is, it's done. Then it was almost like a cloud had lifted over the whole place, because we were living in separate rooms, you know, and when one went into the room, the other one would go into the other room. It is the most awkward situation that anyone can deal with, and you'll understand that, George, you know, or understand, sorry.
Understand all of it, overstand.
All of it, up, over and in, exactly. It's not a nice place to be, but it's once you dispel that, luckily for me, like, we're still friends and we still respect each other. It didn't need to be a big hee-haw drama. But yeah, that was really uncomfortable for a bit, because I was going through other stuff as well. I'd lost 5 friends within a 2-week period, and I was looking after my dad at that time, who was also ill. And then it was just the pressure built up. And then I was just like, why am I living in this situation where I'm not happy? Because, folks, this whole game we call life, there's only really 2 goals: to evolve and to make sure we're doing it on a happy note. And the rest of it is bullshit. So,
100%.
yeah. In fact, I'm hoping, you know, that people start realising this. and understanding it and start taking those steps to their own version of happiness, whatever that may be.
I think we're going to
how you are, that is. But if you want more, the whole world's out there. Go get yours, 100%.
Oh yeah, and I think we're going to see more of that this year, especially like we said in my video as well. This 2021 is a year of disclosure, but with disclosure come people like exactly like your tarot cards said, the Hermit card. With disclosure comes people will bring people to give themselves more time alone, look at really contemplate who they are, really and truly who they are on a deep level. What their purpose is on earth, not to put pressure on anyone, like you need to have a purpose, but you know, you get what I mean with that, and really ask those hard questions to themselves and hopefully become more open and vulnerable, but with that being more wiser as well, you know, being wise, being vulnerable.
Because that's how we learn. The more we share, the more we learn, the more we have an easier journey. And often when we speak to others, sometimes they've been through much worse. And then you're like, hang on a second, I thought I was going through shit, and that person's going through actual hell. Like, and there was me worrying about. And sometimes it's good just to talk for those reasons, because then you humble yourself. And then you're like, I actually haven't got problems in my life. You know? And then you become grateful as well. So do you know what? I'm going to do another little pull of these cards. Anyone wanting to know, they're one of my favorites. This is the Psychic Tarot, and this is by John Holland. Earlier on we picked some with regards to George's talk, so if you want to listen to George's talk, Gabriella, oops, starseed already, they want to jump out. I haven't even asked the question, but yeah, and we can go from there. With regards to, you can see what cards were picked for the Conscious Collective. So now let's have a little nosy. What questions shall we ask, George?
I think you should ask the question for this one.
I think I'm going to ask, dear universe, do we have any messages for the Conscious Collective with regards to making uncomfortable conversations comfortable? Oh, not that many. Do we have any messages with regards to making comfortable conversations comfortable? Any messages, please, universe? Right. Do you want that one at the top? Yes. Interesting. You've just got major arcanas all over the gaff today, darling. Let me just double check what New Beginnings is, because this is based on a traditional one. But I know it's a major arcana off the top of my head. This is the Fool. So this is like... New Beginnings is the Fool. So basically New Beginnings is exactly that. It's time for us to start making new beginnings, realizing that we have the power to change our own destiny. Despite everything that's been going on in this world, we can actually do this and we can change this, but we have to speak up. We have to be a part of the change in order for it to happen. So that's a good one. 7 next is Triumph. Triumph is otherwise known as the Chariot. So not only are new beginnings coming, they're coming bloody quickly, mate. That's good news, isn't it?
As things are going to speed up, and like this is just amazing, more confirmation. Like I love it.
I know, right? And oh my God, to end with, we've got Destiny. So this is otherwise known as the Wheel of Fortune. So basically, George, would you like to explain to them what the Wheel of Fortune is, darling?
Well, take a spin.
So, take a spin. Take a spin. So yeah, basically it's a bit like what George says, like quite literally luck is in our favor, it's on our side, as long as we are concentrating on the right things, and it's our purpose and it's our goal, and it's the right thing to do, not just by ourselves, but for each other and the whole of humanity. So we have new beginnings coming quickly, as long as we're doing the right thing. I'm liking this, George, aren't you? Definitely.
It's coming together, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. Oh, couldn't make that up if you tried. Thank you, universe, as always. So with that, folks, just to let you know, in future on Fridays you're going to see me with George twice a night, and on Mondays you're going to see me with a wonderful lady called Emma, who I heard, she told me it's a bit scratchy. So folks, I'm going to get that fixed hopefully by Monday. I don't know what's going on there.
That one on Monday.
Sorry, honey.
I'm looking forward to that one on Monday.
Yes.
And seeing what you both talk about.
Yeah, Monday is portal opening day. It's the 11th of January, and when you add all the numbers up, it's an 8. It's an infinity number. So obviously those who know me know 8 is one of my numbers, so it has happened. And it's a portal opening. So Emma is a heartbreak healing coach. So if anybody's suffering with any form of heartbreak, I would definitely recommend you tune in. There'll be more details on both of our pages over the weekend with what times. And then I will be talking about dimensions, as in 3rd dimension, 4th dimension, 5th dimension, and ascension symptoms. So for anybody who fancies a bit of that, I just thought, what better day to do it on, hey, Georgie?
Yeah, perfect. Keep in line with the planets. And just touching on what you just said there as well. If anyone, definitely check out the one on Monday with yourself and Emma, because Emma is an amazing healer. I've personally had sessions with her, so I can vouch for that. And if anyone's going through any difficulties in life, and they're upset about anything, like with love or exes or new people they're seeing, like just hit Emma up and to see how she can help you. And I'm sure she will be able to help you. She's helped me, and you heard what I had to go through last year with what I dealt with. So I definitely, Emma's been an amazing help this year.
Yes, she is an amazing star, and I'm really looking forward to starting doing regular talks with our beautiful Emma as well. And for those who want to start my next 90-day cycle, that starts next week. So I think I've got 1 space left. So if anybody wants to come join me, I have had so far 100% success rate. So what can I say? I'm a bit proud of that one because it's the first time I was doing it and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. No, I did know what I was doing, but I just didn't know the program. I created the program and I got the messages from the universe to do the program. And I'm just truly grateful for what's conspiring. So let these new beginnings continue. Let these material harvests keep harvesting for us all.
Definitely. And we're both going to be doing these lives every Friday, 2 times a day on my page. My Instagram page is Gabriella Starseed _. You'll be able to see it in this video, obviously linked to my profile.
It's also on previous posts of mine as well. It's also in the stories as well. Please follow my lovely George, because he is going to be a regular feature. He is amazing. He's a wonderful source of knowledge as well. Just trying to think, what else is there, George?
Yeah, and if you enjoy seeing what creativity I'm up to, give me a follow, because I'm going to be posting stuff like makeup looks that I enjoy doing, because we have free will in this life and you should do what makes you happy as long as you're not harming yourself or others. And also I'm going to be posting certain artwork soon that I'm currently working on, as well as doing these talks more regularly. So let's all connect together, all of us.
Yeah, because that's the whole point of humanity now, you know. The old way of the world was exactly that, folks. And if we are going to be the ripples that turn into the waves of change, then we need to start leading by example, really, and start bringing each other in on things together and helping us all grow collectively, you know, because there's an abundance of everything for everyone out here. It doesn't have to just be the one person that's got lots while other people are starving in the world. Let's put an end to that. It's like game over. It's time for the new energy in.
It is.
And on that note, I think I'm gonna shoot.
Yeah, it's like past 11, so I'm quite tired.
Oh, thank you for staying up so late. I was going to do it earlier next week. I love you, Georgie.
Thank you so much for having me on here. Can't wait to do it again and keep doing
See
it.
you next week, Kenny. Everybody, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the content, and yeah, if there's anything else that you want us to talk about, feel free to DM myself and George at Gabriella Starseed _ and yeah, let's see what we can all start making uncomfortable stuff comfortable, right, folks?
Definitely.
Take care, my lovelies.
Well.
All
right. Well, yeah, thank you for having me. And
thank you. All right. Ciao. Good night, darling.
Good night. Bye.
Bye. Bye.